Hey everyone, welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast. This show is about helping you grow as a coach by standing on the shoulders of giants. Each show, you get a different mentor in your ear. The early motivations, the successes, the failures, the tools, the tricks, and the insight into where the industry is going. All of it so you can make your own dent in the world. Remember, success leaves clues. Now, without further ado, on to the show.
Welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast. I'm your host, Trevor Whitworth. Today's guest is Ashley Keough. Ashley attended Purdue University and graduated with a degree in movement and sports science. She has trained and offered nutrition coaching for over a decade. Ashley is the nutrition coach at Functional Fitness, the customer success specialist at Coach Catalyst, and runs her own private nutrition coaching business. Outside working with clients and supporting Coach Catalyst, Ashley can be found at the gym lifting heavy, out on the boat, or, you guessed it, quilting. This was a really special conversation for me because I've worked with Ashley for over 3 years now. Like I said earlier, she's the nutrition coach for my facilities, Functional Fitness, and before she moved, was also our head training coach. Since moving, Ashley continues to work with Functional Fitness in a virtual setting, along with helping us at Coach Catalyst as a customer success specialist. Ashley has a really interesting story where she moved through the ranks of the big box gym system. We obviously get into the pros and cons of that. We dig deep into coaching, especially now that she operates as an independent coach. But not just philosophy, we talk tools and tricks she uses to run her health coaching business really efficiently. And because I know Ashley so well, this conversation definitely has a lighter tone to it. I hope you enjoy. Ashley Keough, welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast.
So happy to be here.
Oh, it's good to have you on. So this is going to be a fun conversation today, mainly because Ashley and I have a longer history than probably most of the other guests on the podcast. And so we'll see where this goes. All right. Well, this is all about coaching and kind of showing the journey of coaches. And let's take it back to the beginning. Were there any experiences that you had either growing up when you were younger that made you want to get into coaching, or was it something that you got into later in life?
I really don't. We just talked about my bio and you're not even going to bio me? Okay, cool beans. Really, my intention with my exercise science degree, so I have a bachelor's in movement and sports science from Purdue. I really wanted to be a physical therapist. So I grew up playing sports. I was always really active. I got injured. I had surgery on my knee, and I thought I wanted to be a physical therapist. So that was really my intention with what I was going to do with this, and how I ended up in coaching was I really didn't want to go to school anymore, and I didn't really know what to do. And I hate this, but I kind of fell into it because it sounds like the lamest excuse ever of how you end up with a job.
Was there a moment that you're like, I don't want to do the physical therapy route anymore? Was there any like situation you were in, or just like, you know what, I don't want to go to school anymore? Or what was the reasoning behind it?
Well, when I graduated school, it was so I graduated in 2009, and it was the world of like getting into physical therapy school was just hard. Like you had to have a super high GPA. I have friends that had better GPAs than me and did not get in. Also, I would have probably had to retake physics, and I never wanted to take physics again after college. I got an A in biomechanics and a C in physics. Like I won't lie, like biomechanics is body physics. If anyone could explain that to me, that'd be cool. I guess I was done. I was ready to get a job, and those were even scarier to try and find. But I mean, no epiphany. I got my training certification when I was in college, though. Purdue offered this free course where you took it. The classes were free, but at the end you could pay to take your ACSM test. So I did go through that, and I took my ACSM when I was in college. So I was a freshman. I was in the dorms, and every Wednesday night at 7:00, this class was from 7 to 9 p.m. I would go and I'd take it. So that's really how it happened. Is I had this option to do it at school, so I did it.
So I mean, most of your interest early on was in movement, then, right?
I mean, yes. I played softball. I played volleyball. I was a really good bowler.
I don't think I've ever seen. Have I seen you bowl?
We have gone bowling together.
I don't know if I have or not.
We went in a snowstorm for the FF Christmas party.
So I mean, when you got your cert, really your interest was in fitness, right? I mean, now you're heavily interested in nutrition, but at that point, it was really the fitness piece that was driving it.
It was really, I needed a college job, and that sounded a lot better than working at insert any food place, insert any place. So yeah, I mean, really, I liked it. I enjoyed being in the gym.
So you were training people while you were in school.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great college job, right? Were you training them in
the
actual the Purdue weight room, or were you going off site?
No, in the rec center. So we did it at the rec, and then or at the co-rec, and that's where they were able to give you a job afterwards.
So you graduate from Purdue, you've got your Boilermaker hat on, and you're going out in the
should
real
have worn
world.
the Boilermaker sweatshirt for the old.
You never know. There may be a Boilermaker that's listening to this, and they'll connect with their fellow Purdue.
Yeah, well, I would wear my Purdue sweatshirt all the time, and it drove Trev's crazy. So there is that. So what happened when I graduated?
What happened after?
So I started, when I was in college, I worked for a sports academy. So Keough Sports Academy, they run sports camps for kids and like year-round programs and stuff like that for like grade school age kids, not middle school and grade school age kids. And I was working for them, and that's where I started. I ended up in Michigan in 2009. And if anyone doesn't know anything about what happened in 2009, the world kind of crumbled in 2008. And it really wasn't all that great in 2009. They thought the market would have gone to full time, and it didn't happen. So I ended up I had a job when I graduated from college, but in September, I was living at my parents' house as a college graduate with no job. Awesome.
The life. The life.
I'm like, I also worked at Borders, in case you guys wanted to know what really happens. And you worked at Borders, which is a bookstore for those of you that are young enough that you don't actually know that that's what it is. They don't exist anymore. And then just so happens someone I worked for in Skyhawks when I was in college, he called me and offered me a job at Lifetime Fitness. So in 2010, January of 2010, I left where I grew up and I moved to Overland Park, Kansas, or Lenexa, Kansas, and grand opened that Lifetime Fitness as the kids' activities assistant department head.
So you stayed in kids stuff. Did you really like that? Did you really like that aspect, or was it kind of just an in?
It was, oh God, I loved that job. I mean, I really did. Working for Lifetime was really, really great. I never trained at Lifetime. So I was the kids activities assistant department head, and I got promoted and I moved to Denver about 6 months later. So in August of 2010, I moved to Denver to work in the city that I wanted to as the kids activities department head. And I grand opened the Lifetime Fitness in Centennial. And no, did I intend to stay on the kids side of things? Not really, but I didn't really want to be a trainer because being a trainer is scary. Like, I have to pay bills. Having a job that is going to pay your bills is like super important, especially at 23 years old when you are living away from home. So I stayed on that side because it was safe. I knew I was going to get a paycheck every month, every week, that kind of thing. And I was still working out and that kind of stuff. I ran our kids fitness program. So we ran like a kids sport or kids fitness thing where we did weight training and like balance and stability and power and that kind of stuff. And I coached all of those classes because I loved it. So yeah, I still like to work with kids. I run grade school programs where I'm at now. So yeah, I actually do like that demographic. They don't bother me.
So was the move to Denver intentional? Did that come up and you're like, hey, raise my hand, I'll do it? Or was it just like happenstance?
So I got really lucky. So one of the lead people at Lifetime who was helping with our grand opening in Lenexa, her and I hit it off, and she is spectacular, like a real ride of a human being, but we just hit it off. And I told her that like my goal was to move to Denver, and like I was offered this and I thought it would be great. And she's like, well, there's going to be some openings in Denver. So like, work really hard, do all this kind of stuff. She called me and told me, so basically I was really young. Like I was 23 years old, straight out of college. And they interviewed me for Centennial, and they gave me that job instead of a year later, they grand opened the Colorado Springs location. So I was kind of in the running for one. They didn't know where they wanted to put me. they wanted some experience under my belt, but they gave me the job and I got to move to Colorado and all of my dreams got to come true.
So how long did you spend in Colorado?
I was there for, that would have been 2010. I left Colorado in 2012.
Okay. So a couple years there. And were you working in kids stuff the whole time, or had you transitioned to being a trainer?
I stayed in kids. Stayed in kids.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, what was Lifetime is a fairly large corporation, and most people are going to know them as kind of one of the big higher end kind of global gyms or whatever you want to call it, right? They're up there with like the Equinoxes of the world. They're a little bit higher end. They're not your Planet Fitness. They're not really your kind of LA Fitness. They're a little bit more high end than that. And so what was it like working for, kind of corporate Fitness America?
So I really liked it. Obviously, I don't know if like there were things that my job was hard. I ran a summer camp with 150 kids in summer when we were only supposed to max at 100. I had a really, the year after I left, you have to, Lifetime gives awards for like the best in the business and that kind of stuff for yours. But you have to be open for 1 year. So the year after I left, the club actually won the award for kids activities. So like that, like, I loved it because I'm good at it. I'm good, like, I like to play games with kids and I like to do that kind of stuff. It probably would have drained me so much if I would have stayed in that. But that was never my intention. My intention was to move up. Like if you would have asked me then, I would have told people I wanted to be a general manager at a club. And I would have told you that probably up until a handful of years ago, because we'll get to how some of that, but that was actually my plan. I actually told that to someone. I've told it to multiple people in interviews that that's what I wanted to do. Now I like don't ever want to be the general manager of a fitness center. I learned that firsthand, guys. I don't want to be a general manager. I really like to train clients. I really like to be on the floor.
Sometimes, so I've talked about this with other guests too. And when we like look at the fitness industry, a lot of people think like the pinnacle of the fitness industry is, gym management, gym ownership, that kind of stuff. And that's a completely different skill set. And as a kind of a brand new grad, right, you kind of see that as the top, and you haven't been in the industry really long enough to like understand that maybe that isn't where I want to be, or maybe I don't have that skill set, or I don't want to spend my time doing that stuff because you don't really get to train people as much anymore. And so was that something, how long did that take you to figure out that, hey, being a GM maybe isn't where I want to be. I need to be on the floor interacting with people.
Trevor, you know this answer like 2 weeks ago. Okay, maybe it's been longer, like a month. I have the skill set to be a GM. I have the ability to run a business and help people build their business. It is not what I love. I don't want to hound people about coming to work on time. I don't want to hound people about like this or that, like any of those dumb things. I want to show up and do my job well. I want to grow the business. Like I want to play on the team, but I don't want to be the captain because I still want to play the game. And that is probably the biggest thing is I still love to play the game. Like it is getting to show up and do something you love every day. And like, I don't think a lot of people can say that. Like I love my job. Like I love to show up and coach classes. Today I coached an athlete class and I had a middle schooler, one arm swinging, kettlebell swing and like doing it with crisp precision at the end. And there's nothing that feels better than he's never done that before. And I watched him do it and I helped him get there. And you feel really good and it's fun. Like, and remember the kids, here I am, I'm coaching our athletes summer program. So yeah, I still like those little people, I guess. They're funny. They make me laugh. They make me feel young still.
So how long have you been in the industry? So if you would have what year did you graduate? 2008?
2009. So 2009? I got my first certification in 2006.
Right. So so you've been in the industry for 15-ish years, public math. Right. It's kind of scary. Yeah. So 15-ish years. And it's taken you almost all of that to figure out that maybe I don't want to be a GM.
Every single step up in the way. But, okay, maybe the circumstances that I was under when I was the GM the most recently were not great to set me up to be successful at it, because I was trying to do 17 jobs and maybe not just that job. But no, you know what? I really don't like dealing with other people's crap. I don't want to be your boss. Like, how about that? Like, this is what I don't want to be someone's boss. I want to manage myself, and I have absolutely no problem helping other coaches and growing other coaches and helping other people build their book of business too. Like, I love to do that. I don't care what the marketing plan is for September. I don't. Right. Which, so, I mean, it's cool. Like, if that's what you like, do it. Cool. But it's not my thing.
Right. Unfortunately, I think we just get so caught up in the industry that's the pinnacle, right? Or that's where I need to grow to, rather than maybe going to work for the best possible gym I can and love showing up to work.
But there's so much turnover in the training industry, and I think that it's not sustainable for a lot of people. It's not sustainable to think a trainer can go in and coach at 5 a.m. and still be coaching sessions at 7 p.m. at night, and they're going to excel and be able to do that for a long period of time. And I think that's why we think that we need the next thing, and the next thing is because we don't know how to sustainably run our training businesses. And businesses don't set us up to be successful, to be a trainer for 25 years or 30 years. If that's what your passion is, that's what you love. Like, we're not setting trainers up to be successful in the long term. And that's why, like, in the training industry, you see a lot of turnover, you see people leaving, you see this and that, because it's not sustainable to pay someone. Like, one of my friends, so she's a teacher, and her dad asked her all the time when she's going to get a promotion. And she's like, I'm a teacher. This is what I want to be. She has her master's in education. She could move on and be an administrator, but she doesn't want to be. She wants to be a teacher. To her, that's it. And I feel like it's the same. It's very similar in the training industry, is that like my dad, when are you going to get a grown-up job? Like, this is my grown-up job. I am a trainer. Like, that's what I do. So, and that's cool. But I think sometimes that's what we kind of run into and we see.
Well, the industry's so young, right? And I think that's a piece of it. Like, how many retired trainers have you met? Probably very few.
I don't think I've ever met one.
Right. And so, I mean, the industry's really young. I think there's a lack of like accreditation in the industry, right? Like, you could be 18, 16, get a certification and call yourself a trainer, right? So there's not that bar that you really have to pass in order to get that credential. And so then you're not going to get as much respect from maybe society at large. We're probably starting to see more and more of it. I mean, I would be a fan of some regulation around it. I think that just helps create a stronger industry, although it makes it harder to get into, right? Which then makes the industry more valuable. But you did hit on something that with some of I think is though. Really.
Go ahead, go finish, and then I'll go into mine. Now go.
So, well, let's finish that, and then I'll come back. I'll come back to the other one, which some issues that I've kind of seen with the industry, and maybe ways that coaches could look at it differently. So, expand on the other one a little bit.
Oh, you want me to go? I got so excited, I forgot. Okay. But when we limit it, then like I struggle because I know some great trainers that have a CrossFit level 1 certification, and that's all they have. And it's like a weekend certification, but they have put in hours and hours of reps, of coaching, of asking other people to help to become better coaches. And I have friends that have degrees, and I would never let them teach me how to squat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, It takes a lot to be a really good coach. So like, I don't know if I want to limit it with like putting more regulations in place, because I just think like we need to be teaching people like what a good coach is or a good trainer is, like, versus what's a good doctor or that kind of thing. Like, I also think people just don't respect it. Like, clients will come in and be like telling me what they're going to do. And I kind of look at them, I'm like, do you go to your doctor and tell them what prescription to write for you? Like, I'm sorry, but you're going to squat. Like, you're not getting out of squats just because you don't want to do them. Like, it doesn't work that way. But so I don't know. It's like the hard part. Like, yes, I guess some more accreditations would be nice, or like some guidelines, like, so you can figure it out, like what level your trainer is or something. But I also, okay, so in case you guys didn't know, I worked at Equinox. when you work at Equinox, you are a leveled trainer, a tier trainer. So you start as a tier 1 trainer unless you test into a tier 2. So to work at Equinox, you just have to have a certification. Ooh, maybe you have to have a degree. I don't know. So I have a certification and I have a degree. They hired me. I did not pass the test. I was a tier 1 trainer. Then I had to go to school, to trainer school. And every week for however many weeks, I'd have to go to class. And then at the end, you have to take a test and pass it to become a tier 2 trainer. The same thing happens to be a tier 3 trainer. These tests are hard. Like they're real. Like it's like taking anatomy and physiology and biomechanics and all of those things all over again. And it had been 10 years since I had taken tests like this. So it felt like a whole new refresher. It was not easy, but anyways, you have to pass a test to go. With these test passing incentives, you get paid more per session. Of course, I'm going to take this class. I can make $10 to $15 to $20 more per hour as a trainer. To become a tier 3 trainer, they pay for you to get your PN certification, and then you become a tier 3 plus trainer. And then from there, you have different options. They have tier X coaches, or yes, they used to be tier 4, but now they're tier X. I think that's what they're still called. Sorry to any of my Equinox friends, I'm not up with the lingo anymore. Or you can go management or MIT and all of those kind of routes. So like you have options to grow within the business in the way that you see fit to fit you and your business. And I like that. Like you have like, these are your levels and this is what you get paid for them, which is kind of cool. And that's straight across the board, whether you're in New York or you're in LA or you're in Dallas, like the pay range for trainers is the same. And it's nice. Like you're making a good percentage of what you're paying per session versus some other places that I've seen. But like I live in South Mississippi now. People tell me it's too much when I tell them it's $40 for 1 hour of one-on-one personal training. In case you guys want to know, I don't make all of that. I cringe every time I tell the numbers. Okay, I also got the prices to increase at the gym, but like, it's not a lot of money if you guys want to know. And like, you can't be a good trainer for 8 hours a day. So like, if $20 an hour is what you get paid on that, and then you have to do that for 8 hours to make a full livable wage, you guys, like, we got to do better. Like, we want these people to perform and be a great coach, but like, if you're only going to pay your trainer, really, like, you're paying $40 an hour, but they're only making $20 an hour, like. And they have to train 10 sessions every day to make a livable amount of money. Like, we got to do better.
As a coach that runs challenges, I needed my life back. I had stuff all over the place. A Facebook group for community interaction, Google Sheets for check-ins and measurements, and was drowning in email communication. As my challenges grew past just a handful of people, I started to notice clients were falling through the cracks. I began researching virtual assistants because I just couldn't manage it all. And truthfully, the client experience was going down the drain. Luckily, a friend recommended Coach Catalyst and just told me to trust her. I'm sure glad I did. Now I can run my challenges with 2 or 200 clients with just a few clicks. The lessons get delivered on the right days, the accountability happens automatically, and most importantly, the communication is all in one spot. I even created 2 new challenges from the Coach Catalyst library. Best part, didn't have to change a thing. I used to spend 15 minutes just trying to log into all the apps I needed. Now I log in and my dashboard tells me who needs a shout out and who needs a kick in the butt in about 15 seconds. I feel like a huge weight is lifted off of my shoulders. I can finally spend my time coaching again instead of worrying about all the admin work. Do your brain a favor and get Coach Catalyst.
I mean, we've found at our facilities that 5 hours is kind of that magic number on a consistent basis. There are days, where if you just have a busy day and, maybe someone's sick and you got to pick up some slack somewhere where you can pull a 7-hour type of load. But to try and do that over and over again, consistently, week over week, month over month, year over year, it's draining. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see so much burnout.
Well, and then you're not even talking about just that. We're talking about trainers who train in the morning and then they train at night and then maybe a couple in the middle of the day. Like, it's a long day. Also, like, how do you have relationships when you go to work at 5 a.m. and you go leave work at 7 p.m.? Like, I want to let you know, it's really hard unless you are in a long distance relationship to run a schedule like that. No one understands it. They think it's weird. But like Trevor says this, and the reason I like made that face for those of you who can see it is I worked for Trevor for 2 years. I mean, I still work for Trevor, but I was in the gym for 2 years, and I think I could count on my hand how many times I trained 7 sessions in a day. No, Trevor or Aaron, his wife, would pick up and cover a session if my schedule ever looked like that. Or we would be 2 on the floor at the same time. So even if I had trained a busy day, like there were 2 coaches training a big session at the same time, which takes some of your load off. Also, it lets you relax and breathe a little bit. So I had more days that I probably had more days that had 6 on my schedule than some other people, but it happened few and far between. And it was made up for on days that maybe like Friday where I trained, 4 hours, so maybe my Tuesday had 6 hours, but my Friday always had 4. So it was always the nice little trade-off there too.
Right.
So
yeah, I think that average of 5 is like a really nice, it's a sustainable, like you can train 5 hours and be good for 5 hours. After that, you really have to think about being good. Like you have to kind of will it to have, like you can really be a good coach for 8 hours a day because you can will it for a period of time. But then after that, it just like, you end up saying, screw it.
And not all training hours are created equal. There are easy hours that you could train. You could train 10 of them. If every session was like that session, you could train 10 every day and it would never phase you. Not every session is like that. I have clients that I love, but they can be like, I love them. They are great people. And I would carry on a conversation and sit and talk to them in hours. Sometimes training them feels like 17 hours in 30 minutes.
Right. It's not like it's not always like a physical type. Well, it kind of is physical, but it's very much like an emotional. Because training is like, you're interacting with people, and as a good coach is going to be like really interacting, right? And so you're asking questions, you're really dialed into what they're saying, you're really paying attention, and that's just, that's draining, right? You can't do that all day long, every day.
Well, and it goes back to my thing about relationships. Like I remember coming home from training some days and like not talking, like I just was done. And like Zach would be like, hey, do you want to talk to me? I'd be like, I don't have the capacity to have this conversation with you. Like, I can't do it. Like, I can ask how your day was and that kind of stuff. But if you want to like have a serious conversation, those need to be set up. Like, we would have to set times that we could do it when I had the capacity for that kind of stuff. Some days are long and draining, but like, when you're interacting with people, like I give a lot during my training sessions. Like I'm like, there is no, like I'm hanging out, I'm having fun, I'm coaching, I'm moving, I'm so busy. Like there is not a day that I don't train. If I was training 5 sessions, I walked 10,000 steps before noon, like every day. Like that was every day. I also drank half a gallon of water before noon too. So like I was moving, like that's tiring. And not that, like, but you're so emotionally invested in your clients too. Like they get such a big piece of me. I would probably tell you I'm closer with most of my clients than I am with like 90% of the other people I have in my life. Like
Do you feel like that's a good thing?
To be closer with my clients than other people in my life?
Not necessarily that, but to be heavily emotionally invested in the success of your clients.
I don't even know if it's always just the success of my clients. I think I'm invested in their lives. You think about it. You spend an hour with these people multiple times a week. How about this? The clients I trained at FF, I would probably tell you, they are the clients that I started training when I got there, and they are still training there now. So I train them 2 or 3 times a week, every week for 2 years. I'm not just invested in how they show up at the gym. I'm invested in their lives, because it's not just a conversation about like, hey, I want to see you PR your deadlift today, or I want to see you do this. Hey, how's your kids doing? How are your grandkids doing? How's this? How's that? Like, hey, you're working on this project or that. Like, I know things about my client. Like, it wouldn't just be a conversation about like, how are you today? Like, like Trevor tell you, one of our clients, I would go to her house every Wednesday after we trained, and I would go and quilt at her house for 2 hours. Like, they weren't just people that I saw at the gym. They were relationships I invested in. I am a 95-year-old woman. Trevor, stop laughing. Like, but those are the relationships I build with people when I'm at the gym. They're like, there is not a single person I trained at FF that I wouldn't go have dinner at their house. So like, I feel like that. So yes, maybe that's too much. I don't know.
Well, so I think where people really run into issues is when their self-worth is dictated by the perceived success of so-and-so clients, right? Like if so-and-so isn't losing weight, I'm a bad coach, right? When we don't even know that if so-and-so real goal is actually to lose weight, or maybe they came in wanting to lose weight, right? But then ultimately, like, they just want to be there. They want someone to tell them what to do. They want a community. They want socialization. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. Like all of these other things that clients get out of a training session.
Well, and I think that's when like reassessment comes in and can be super valuable. Like so many of us talk to our clients when they first join and they like sign up and they tell us our goals, but we don't do a 90-day check-in or a 6-month check-in or a 1-year check-in to see like, hey, these are where you first started. Like, you know, are we assessing the goals that they say are important, and are we asking them, hey, you know, what are your goals really? Like, you know, we've been working together for the last 3 months and, you know, the scale's made some changes, but like, what are you getting out of our sessions together? Like, what do you gain from your time? And they can tell you a whole list of things, but like, I would say, yes, we have clients that come to the gym that want to lose weight. Most of my clients, they want someone to hold them accountable. They want to show up for the gym. They want to work hard, but they want to have fun. They want to come to an environment that they want to show up to over and over again because it makes them feel good to go there and they feel better when they leave. And that is all I care about as a trainer. If my clients come in, they leave feeling better than they did when they walked in the door. And that is the only thing that I can really gauge my success on, because they see me 2 hours a week. Like how many hours is that? 130 some hours that they really, out of 130 some hours, they spend 2 hours with me every week. I can't control everything they put in their mouth, and nor do I want to. I want them to have choice, but like I want to contribute to them living the best life that they can. And I really believe that I can make that impact. And sometimes that impact has little to do with training or weight loss or insert whatever, like getting to the next milestone in their bench press. Like really it is about them, like having a better lifestyle and living their life and enjoying what they're doing. I mean, like I would tell you more than half my clients at FF didn't lose a pound the entire time I was there. But I would look at some of them and think, oh, their goal should be weight loss, but it wasn't. And I think that's maybe our conception as trainers is we see a client and we're like, that client is working with that trainer and they're not losing weight. But maybe we need to assess what our people's goals are. My clients in their 70s, like, do you think they really want to lose weight, or do they want to get up and down off the toilet and never have to live in a nursing home? Probably that one.
Yeah, I mean, that can be a challenge, right? As a coach, like you kind of have what you feel like they should do, and being able to separate that and have enough self-awareness that like, hey, I'm kind of putting my own goals on this person and kind of stepping back and allowing them to drive the ship. One thing that I want to kind of talk about with kind of regards to coaching is like, this is why I think coaching can be such a powerful profession, is like the impact that you can have on someone is like profound, is absolutely profound. If you hang out with someone 2 to 3 hours every week for years on end, like the impact that person has. I mean, let's even look at it from just like a health standpoint, right? Most people do, an annual health checkup. They see their doc, they get their blood panels done, and they get some feedback on where their health is in that instant. But, the doc is like 10 minutes, maybe 15. And so like, you just don't have a lot of power to get someone to make the changes, where like we get to see someone 2 or 3 times a week, every single week for years on end. And like, I think like that's something that shouldn't be taken very lightly. Like someone's chosen to spend an hour with you, paying money to do it. And like the impact you can have is just like, is profound. And that's, I think, one of the reasons I really love this industry.
And sometimes it takes 7 years. Like, I'm not going to lie. So there's a client at Trevor's gym that I have worked with and Trevor's worked with. She was probably like, she calls herself a founding member. She probably is, but she is spectacular. And just, I had worked with her. She always said she wanted to lose weight. Like, she was a challenge hopper. She did every challenge we offered and she would get great results, like lose 5% body fat in every one. But she would gain it all back and she would lose and she would gain it all back over and over again. And finally, she signed up to do nutrition coaching along with her training. She did nutrition coaching with me. She started in COVID. She has maintained her weight ever since then. And I wanted, like, she had been a client for like Trevor. I mean, at that point, it had to be 7 or 8 years, like literally years she spent at the gym and had done every challenge and done everything. And something finally changed with her. So like, maybe you don't feel like you're doing it right or that kind of thing, but you don't really know the effects. But she was always preaching with telling people about our gym and like coming there and that kind of stuff. She's really super member, but like it took her 7 years to make the change and get those results because your mind has to be in the right place to be able to do it. But like, don't discount a client because maybe they're not ready for their change yet, but they're doing what they can do right now to get them to that place. So like your time is well invested, and just, it takes you 7 times for you to actually hear something or learn something or whatever it is or whatever. She needed 7 years, not just 7 times. Like, it's okay.
Well, I mean, we've seen it with challenges, right? Challenges are a big part of our facility in order to bring in new clients, but also give our current clients kind of that kick in the butt if they need it. And we've seen people do 4 or 5 challenges, and then like after the 5th challenge, they're like, "Oh, I get it. Like, this is how I should eat all the time, not just during a challenge." And we're like, "Yeah,
Kind of.
that's about right."
Well, and it's not like cool or anything new or anything like that. Like, you're really telling me like all the things you've been saying all these years are like the same. And I'm like, yeah, the same things over and over again, just do them really well. Like, the best thing you can do is get really good at really boring things.
Right. Yeah. Like, that's the secret, right? Get really good at really boring things. I like that. All right. So let's kind of switch gears here a little bit. So you were heavy in kids, like training kids, right? And then when did you get into more of like the training aspect where you were kind of prospecting for clients and doing that whole fun trainer game? Was that still at Lifetime, or was that when you moved into Equinox?
No. So I moved. Before this. So I actually moved to Florida in 2012, and I started doing CrossFit. And my ex-husband was in the military, and I let my certificate expire, and I was able to get the ISSA Master Trainer. All of ISSA's training certifications, the military would pay for them as a military spouse. So I took that. And that's when I started training. So I trained out of like our local church there. I ran some kids stuff, but I also trained some parents and did some like aquatic stuff and that kind of thing. And that's when I started training. That would have been 2012. I did that. I moved to Florida. I started training I moved from Florida to Mississippi. I told you I moved a lot of times. I don't think Trevor's actually heard all of these. When I moved to Mississippi, I started training at a gym here. I trained at the Navy base, and then I moved to one of our local gyms. And then when I left Mississippi and went to Texas, that's when I ended up at Equinox. Okay. So really probably in 2012, that was like, once I moved, that became my primary focus. But also like, I never got my CrossFit certification, in case anyone's wondering. But I was doing CrossFit and I loved it. And I knew that's when I was like, this is what I want to do. But our gym didn't have a CrossFit kids class at the time. And I thought that was going to be more of the direction that I went. Remember, I like the kids. It's funny. I always end up back there. I wanted to be a teacher when I grew up. Like, that's really like when I originally planned to go to school, I was going to go to school to be a teacher. And then I found out that being a teacher, they get paid what I was paying to go to school for 1 year. And that was when I decided not to be a teacher. Funny thing is, I'm a teacher. Like, I get to get paid more than a teacher, but I am a teacher. Like, in all aspects of that, I educate people on the things that I actually love. And I think that's even better because I don't have to pretend I like geometry. I can actually like really share something that I love with people and teach them and like help them grow at wherever they're at, which I think is cool.
So when did you start working? Was Equinox after this?
Yeah, I started working at Equinox in 2015.
Okay. So when you started at Equinox, were you kind of at the bottom of the totem pole? And
Tier 1 trainer. Oh yeah, baby.
So you go in with 0 clients, right?
Oh, 0 clients. So Equinox, they give you floor hours. So you would get paid an hourly rate that I want to tell you is like minimum wage, guys. It's not like I was making a whole bunch of money. But you get an hourly rate. I was really good at making friends with membership advisors. And during my hours, I would set how many friends I was going to make on the floor. My goal was obviously to get them in a fitness assessment to sell them, but I called it making friends. In case you guys aren't getting this, I like to make friends and have fun and do this. So I would just talk to everyone at the gym. I wanted to learn everybody's name. So that was my goal. Hey, I'm new here. Like, I would ask them about my restaurants I like. I would ask them about that. Not because like half the time I didn't, these people weren't probably going to train with me, but I needed to meet people and get comfortable being there. And that's all I did.
Did you have any like kind of, it's almost like dating, right? Like, did you have any like breaking the ice like one-liners that would help you kind of start the conversation? Or were you just kind of like, hey, what's up, I'm Ashley? I'm new here, even though I've been here for now a year. And that was just the way to.
Well, no, I had only been in Dallas for like a month. Okay, it took me 30 days to build my book.
At some point, you can't say I'm new here anymore, right?
So in 30 days, I built my entire book of business, and I did not take I was never on the floor after that, unless I was helping and covering a floor shift. It took me 30 days to build my business. So in case you guys want to know, that means I went from having no clients. At Equinox, I had to have a full book of business, which means I was training 95 sessions a month.
That comes down to like what, about 25-ish a week?
A week, yep.
Was that all pretty much one-on-one training?
It was all one-on-one. At Equinox, you train one-on-one, but if you wanted to train with someone else, you pay one-on-one prices to train with your trainer still.
Right.
There's not a discount for group training. Well, at least there wasn't when I was there, so please remember that was 7 years ago. So no, I built an entire book of business. I had about 12 clients, 12 to 15, give or take. I usually would train about 110 to 120 sessions a month. That was where I liked to be, but I also never trained on Saturdays and left every Friday at noon, because I was in a long distance relationship. Remember, like when they're not there, it's not awkward because it's a lot easier to explain your weird lifestyle when you only see them on the weekend.
So, I mean, so kind of going back to, because there's probably coaches that are listening to this that are in that kind of big box type of employment where they have to go find clients. And so, I mean, your strategy was just like, go talk to people. And
exactly.
Then was it like, hey, how can I help you? Or what do you need help with?
No, I mean, sometimes it just depends. One, making friends with the membership advisors, so they would schedule these people of fitness assessments with me, was super, super helpful. The next thing is when people know when you're desperate. You cannot be desperate. I wasn't asking for anything. The first handful of times, I wasn't asking them for anything. I was just talking to them. Hey, I'm new here. Do you have I live over in this area. Do you have a grocery store that you recommend? Hey, do you know where the nearest this is? Hey, I really am looking for a restaurant like this. Can you recommend one? Just general conversation that I would have with people, stuff like that. I picked up a couple people off the floor. Membership advisors, it's very easy for them to sell tier 1 training in a thing like, hey, you need a trainer. You probably should, if you're price conscious, this is where you would start. And I would get handed people that were my demographic, females that were between 25 and 35 years old. That is who I trained at Equinox. Okay, that's not true. That's how my book of business started. After that, majority of my clients were males and over the age of 50, which is hysterical because that's who I that's who I train now too, for the most part. So, but I was just friendly and talk to people. People know when you're desperate and you're trying to pick them up. No one wants to be hit on by a desperate dude at a bar. We can tell. It's the same thing picking up clients. People will know if you're desperate. Also, if you want to train high school athletes, probably need to be talking to high school athletes' parents. You probably need to be doing, different things like that. If that's who you want to, you need to be talking about the high school athletes at the gym. If you want to train stay-at-home moms, you probably should be at the gym between 9 a.m. and noon because that's when stay-at-home moms come to the gym. Depending on what you want your book of business to look like, you need to be doing the things. I wanted to train and be full-time. I went to the gym at 5 a.m. and I left the gym at 8 p.m. I will not lie. I did not go home until I had a full book of business. Also, I was living at my friend's house. It was far from the gym. I wanted to move closer. I would talk to people about apartment complexes. These are the things I would have conversations with them. But I knew that I needed to make money. And I knew I did not want to have to move home and I did not want to have to ask my parents for money. Those are my goals. I knew I needed to be out of my friend's house in a certain period of time because I literally just could not live at someone else's house. So those were the goals that I set for myself.
You had strong motivators.
Yes. Well, yep. I like to light a fire under my own butt. So that's what I did.
So, so a lot of it, was there a strategy around getting the membership advisor to be hey, send me clients? Or was it just simply, was there a strategy there or did it just fall in your lap? Or did you make a point to go, hey, I'm going to go make friends with the membership advisor because they're the ones that are going to send me clients?
I made a point to make friends with the membership advisors. I also asked them if I could train them. Okay. I mean, hey, I would,
did they take it? Did they take you up on it?
Yes, they all did. And then they started instituting that all of the new trainers had to train them. So the membership advisors would have a weekly workout with all of our new trainers, because that is what I did. And everyone left because I built my business really quick. They learned that that's what I did to be successful. Other people followed suit. It was really funny. But yeah, so I trained them, and that's how I actually made friends. Was I trained the membership advisors, and some of them became some of my really good friends in there, because they were the people, like, I spent an hour with them and we got to know each other training.
Right.
So it was a good way for me to meet people in the area. I was new, I didn't know anyone, but also they could see my training style, and based on conversations, they felt comfortable giving me clients because they knew what I was like.
Right.
Also, if you sit in front of a membership advisor's office and they're touring a client and you're there, and this person might want a trainer and they say they want a female trainer, and you're sitting at the membership advisor's office, they introduce you and go, hey, this is Ashley. She's one of our trainers. I can introduce myself. I can talk to them a little, and I can pick a client up myself. If I'm at the gym, that happens. If you're not at the gym, you're not there. And like, that's, that goes into the struggle. Like, when you're building a business and you're in this industry, is like, you can't be at the club making money or not at the club making money. You have to invest your time somewhere. Instead of going home and taking a nap in the afternoons, I worked out, because I spent my mornings and my afternoons trying to pick up clients during the primary hours of the gym. If I wasn't the blue shirt, the person on the floor, like, I stayed at the club. Like, I was there and I would hang out and I would talk to people, or I'd work out with other trainers, and I would ask questions to the trainers that had made a lot of money. Like, there were guys at the gym that they had a full book of business. They trained over 160 sessions in a month. They are outrageous, but I asked them what they did. I asked for tips. If you find a successful person, ask them questions. That is what I did. Who were the best in the business at that gym? I knew them. We knew who was training the most, because at Equinox, you know who the top trainer is at your gym. The trainer I was asking was one of the top trainers in the company that year. So, like, I just asked him questions. You know what? He also never left the gym. You find what successful people do and you do it.
Success leaves clues,
there's no
right?
new wheel.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and like, he already had a full book of business, but that's how he did it. So that's what I did.
Knowing what you know now, because you've been in the industry obviously a lot longer, would you have done anything differently?
At that point in my life, no. If I went to train at a gym like that now, at an Equinox, like, I would go back to an Equinox. I think they pay well. I think their benefit package is good. I think how they incentivize you to train more sessions, I think, is good. I wouldn't train at night. I'm a morning trainer. I like to train in the morning. I would limit my schedule. When someone asks me, and I do this now, if someone asks me to train at 5 p.m., I offer them 5 a.m. I don't train at night. And it took me a long time to get comfortable with that, because, like, at Trevor's gym, I worked a straight shift. I went to the gym at 5:15 and I left the gym at 1:30-ish or so. Like, I worked Monday through Friday. Like, I had a set schedule. When I moved back down here and had to pick up clients that way, I ended up with clients at all random hours at terrible times. And like, no one was stacked together, because I was letting them tell me what they wanted. No, I have an opening at this hour. This is when you can train with me. I only train group sessions. So you can join, like, you have flexibility. Here are the times that I'm currently running my semi-private sessions. You can join these, but I'd like to get you on a set schedule. My clients don't tell me. I tell them what I have available. I never give a client open access to my calendar. I would never do it again, because I like the boundaries, but also I have a spouse at my house that expects me home to eat dinner with him at 6 o'clock.
Right.
Like,
right. Life is different, right? I mean,
most
people, when they're just starting out, is, do you have a credit card? Okay, cool. We could train and move on, right?
But as I have grown and progressed in the industry, I am less in that spot. But I got that way kind of at Equinox. If my client wanted to train at 2 p.m. on Friday, I didn't say yes. I said no. I don't train at 2. Oh, what about Saturday morning? No, but I can squeeze you in here at this day and this time. Like, I didn't train on Saturday mornings unless I was in town. But I wanted to have that open. If Zach came to visit, I wanted to be available. I didn't want to leave to go to the gym and train for 3 hours. Also, if I went to the gym for 1 hour, I was staying for 3 hours, which meant I was training at 5 a.m., a 6 a.m., and a 7 a.m. I didn't train at 8, and I trained at 9 and a 10 and an 11. And I went home and came back and trained in the afternoon some days. But I only trained 2 sessions at night. That was the other thing. I had rules about if I went back to the gym, how many sessions was I willing to train. So like, I trained heavy on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. My Tuesdays and Thursdays were a little bit lighter. But I'm a morning person. I want to train and be done, because At
Right.
1:00, I want to be at my house.
So, I mean, so you said a bunch of different things that I think a coach that's just starting out, or even a coach that's been in the industry and maybe they're feeling a little burnt out, can start to put into practice to allow for some longevity in the industry, right? Like what's that one? Boundaries.
So this is
Nice.
so one is boundaries. So this book is by Dr. Henry Cloud. It is one that I recommend to every new trainer in the industry now. It is about boundaries. It's super great for every aspect of your life, but it is so important in the training. I just think it is so important. It is something that saved me, but also like I was recommended this book by someone else, and I read it, and I realized that when I was working for Trevor, I had really awesome boundaries because I left work at 1:00. That was the end of my workday. I wasn't going to train anymore.
Right.
So I had that. I felt like invading my life when I came back here and I started training, and I put boundaries into place. One-on-one sessions are draining to me. I hadn't trained after I was working for Trevor. I hadn't trained a one-on-one session in years. And then I came down here and I started training one-on-one, and I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. This is terrible. And then I looked at the owners. I'm like, I don't train one-on-one sessions. I'm going to do small groups, and this is what they're going to cost. And this is I'll keep the same percentage split that we have for one-on-ones. And they looked at me, they're like, well, why are you going to do that? I'm like, because I'm going to train 1 hour and I'm going to make more than what I do in 2 hours. And that's what I did. I was training 30-minute sessions, and I moved all my 30-minute sessions to 1 hour small groups. Guess what? Every single client switched. They pay $5 more per session that they work, but they get a whole hour more. For $5, they get another 30 minutes from what they were paying. And my clients went from 2 times a week to 3 times a week because I opened up more slots. So it was
I think
it's about the money.
Higher.
Oh, I probably should have went higher, but we're going steady. I'm making over $50 for a full session, Trevor. Like $50 an hour to go train a session that I love doing. I'm happy with what I'm getting paid at this point, so I'm not saying that you're wrong. I definitely think I can increase the price, but it felt really good to be able to do that. And now I'm training with my boundaries in mind, and I can stay and be happy and be in a good place when I'm there, versus training 4 or 5 30-minute sessions back to back, which is exhausting. Now I train for 1 hour and I train the same amount of people.
Well, I think that's the beauty of semi-private training, right? And if you are a one-on-one coach and you're listening to this, seriously take a look at semi-private training, or call it small group training, or call it whatever the heck you want to call it. But training multiple people in an hour is much more time efficient for you as a coach. It's much more cost effective for the client. You charge less, you make more. Like the number, and ultimately it's a better experience for the client.
Oh my gosh. And it's not just that. Like gone are the weird, awkward silences with a new client that you haven't really built a rapport with. Gone are those times where you feel like you're having a conversation and you're not actually coaching. Like when you train 2 to 4 or 5 people in an hour, like you are a coach for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, the energy is different. It's so much better than a one-on-one session. Like, so many things are better. You play your music a little bit louder. Like, I don't know.
You don't lose the personalization. I think that's a big thing, is like, I'm not going to, well, you don't lose it. Even if you can program design for each person individually and they're all running their own program and you're coaching them all. Like that's very possible. That's how we do it at our facility. But you could also have a scaled program, right? You can have a program where you have the exercise, but then you have regressions or progressions depending on the level of the client, right? They're high level, they know how to do barbell work, maybe they're front squatting. They're a brand new client, maybe they're overweight, maybe they're doing assisted jungle gym box squats. And then you have another client that can handle a little load and they're doing goblet squats, right? Like,
and now everyone's Googling what a jungle gym is.
Overcomplicate things.
Jungle gym is a TRX, guys. It's a suspension trainer.
It's
the
economy version. It's the economy version of the TRX. So, so like, I think you can structure your practice. I mean, really, it's like a practice, right? Like, I think we need to start thinking about coaches as professionals, and it's your practice. And in your practice, how do you optimize your hours? Because if you are doing it and you're responsible for training clients, you need to figure out, like, how many can I train? All right, cool. I can do 5 hours, let's say, a day, because there's going to be other things. There's going to be admin. There's going to be some marketing. There's going to be program design, all of that fun stuff, right? Because if you're training 8 hours a day, now you have another 2 or 3 hours of all this other stuff. So an 8-hour day turns into an 11-hour, 12-hour day. And like you start to not like your profession all that much very quickly.
Or you're not programming and you're just trying to remember what you did with your client 3 days ago and realize, oh my God, guys, I can't even imagine coaching a session where I don't know what I just did the week before. But also it makes, like, when you're programming, and I mean, this is obviously, I'm going to just this is what I use Coach Catalyst for. I run all my in-person and online clients in Coach Catalyst for training because I can document everything they do and I don't have to remember what weight we used the week before. I don't have to write it in my notes on my phone, have my computer out when I train my sessions. Yes, I'm in a gym and I have my computer out and I pull their programs and I take notes on them as they're training. And it is awesome. And it is so easy. And I can actually progressive overload my clients because that's how I like to, like, I know that's where the benefit is personally. So I like to progressive overload my clients, but I can track all of that stuff too. So like, to me, it's a huge bang in the buck. And my clients, I run 4 to 5 clients in my small group or my semi-private personal training, whatever you want to call it. They all run their own programs. And I know that if I ran them at tablets like we did at FF, I know I could run 6 by myself.
As a gym owner, Coach Catalyst is the key to having low turnover. For several years, I struggled and spent 10 to 20 hours a week communicating with clients via phone calls, Facebook Messenger, email, and text messages. I had tried everything to make my life more efficient. I was at my wit's end. And then I found Coach Catalyst. Since starting the software, I have found a life again, and my clients are thanking me for being so involved in their fitness life. I've cut my daily commitment to interacting with over 300 clients to under 15 minutes a day and have streamlined my 6-week challenges. I couldn't recommend it more. I just don't know if I would even be here today if it wasn't for Coach Catalyst. If you don't have an account already, you're missing out and not helping the people you could be.
Right. What I found for a new coach, a brand new coach, you can handle 2 to 3 without a whole lot of overwhelm. I've found that a new coach, if each person has kind of an individualized program, 4 to 5 becomes very stressful, I think, and you have a hard time. And so usually for new coaches, we recommend, we like our new coaches, we try and limit them to 2 or 3 right away until they really get comfortable with having to work with multiple people. Right? You have to know what reps you need to see, what exercises you need to see because you can't see everything. You need to set up your space in a way where you can be at one end of the space and you can see everything that's going on. So then you can jump in if there are issues that you can't have walls in there where other people are like on different sides of the facility or people are behind your back. So there's some setup and logistical issues that help make it easier to think through if someone is thinking about transitioning to that model. But if you have the setup right, like honestly, I would never go back to one-on-one training. And the only reason I would do it is if someone is really, really broken and they just need every rep watched. But those people are few and far between.
Yes, but I think the biggest struggle is we don't charge a high enough price point for a one-on-one person for what that actually entails. An hour one-on-one,
right?
Like, for a broken person, like this is a person that like we use a functional movement screen. Like I'm thinking someone that has lots of ones, or they just can't physically do it.
Or they've got pain. Right.
Yes. Like we're talking like, you need one-on-one attention, but like you also need a lot of one-on-one attention and a lot of this and a lot of that. Like they probably need a premium coaching package. They need to be training multiple times a week. They need at-home stuff that they're doing every day. They need to be paying for all of the things you're providing them because like a client like that needs daily mobility. Like they need to be doing stuff every single day and I need to be able to hold them accountable. But like, how do I do that too? So you look like you're thinking hard.
I know. Yeah. So I think sometimes we get pricing is really challenging for people, right? And to give a little bit of perspective, like one physical therapy appointment will run in the hundreds, like the $200 to $300 of dollars. And so there's just some perspective, right? There's insurance and the kind of these other things that kind of drive that cost up higher than it probably needs to be. And there's a lot of overhead and those kind of things. But even looking at like massage therapy, like you can't get a really good massage for under $70 an hour. In bigger cities, it gets probably higher than that, right? And so to charge like 30 or 40 for a one-on-one session that if you're a good coach, you probably prepped for, so you spent another 10 to 15 minutes getting ready for that session. So really it was like an hour, 15, probably an hour and a half of your time involved just with that one session, right? And you're charging $40 an hour. The math doesn't work out, right? But if you take 5 people and you charge $40 an hour, now you're making $200 in that hour. Maybe you have a little bit more prep work, but you make significantly more for not that much more work.
I mean, but like, even if you think about it, like, let's talk about the prep work. I've been doing this a long time. I train more people in a session, but even let's say I have 2 or 3 people and we charge $25 per session for a small group. Okay. So I have 4 people. That's $100 for that session. So I make a percentage of that, but let's say I make all of it just to be nice because numbers are easy. Mm-hmm. I can write all 4 of those programs that I'm going to progressive overload. So they're going to do it for 4 to 6 weeks, the same program with tweaks to their load. So I don't need to do any prep work to look and know if they need more weight or not. Like, I've been doing this a long time. I'm not making big changes, small ones to a program that I've already written and it's already templated. I can change all of those programs for all 4 of those clients for that hour in 30 minutes. Okay.
Oh,
I
easy.
am fast.
Probably even less than fast. Probably even, I would say even less than that.
Well, yes, but I'm trying to be nice. But if you're a new coach, like that might take you an hour. And trust me, I know it probably does take you an hour. But still think about that. I'm going to do 8 sessions. So say they train 2 times a week. That's 8 sessions a month. That's $800 that I'm going to make, plus the extra 30 minutes. Let's say an extra hour. So that's 9 hours. And I'm going to make $800 for 9 hours of work. Right. Now the money lines up better. So
yeah, the numbers make sense, right? And so you can charge a price point that people can live with for years, that can fit into their budget. You can probably access a little bit bigger part of the population because your price point's can be a little bit lower. As long as you have the systems in place. So you said something there that I don't know if everyone caught, but having like templates, right? You having your beginner template or your phase 1, your phase 2, your phase 3, your phase 4, having that stuff done, then it's just tweaking out.
And you guys, you don't need to write a fresh new program for every single client that walks in your door. I promise you, you do not need to do it. So in Equinox, when you go from tier 1 to tier 2, we do a whole thing about program design. And the program design is called, here is your template: hinge, hip dominant, knee dominant, push, pull, vertical, horizontal, single leg, 2 leg. Those are the variations. And your template could look like that, and you can plug in the exercises, or you could just, every new client starts here with a goblet squat, and then they progress to a 2 dumbbell goblet squat, and then or a front rack squat, and then they progress to a front squat, and then maybe they progress to a back. Now I've wrote 4 programs. That's how they progress. They're going to squat and they're going to hinge. Are they going to squat and hinge in the same day? Maybe. I do full body for my clients that train 2 or 3 times a week. They are probably going to do a full body workout. So they're going to do a hinge exercise, single leg, and they're going to do a 2-legged exercise, squat, knee dominant exercise. They're going to do a push and they're going to do a pull. One will be vertical, one will be horizontal, and then the other day they'll switch and do the other exercises. That is the template that I start from, and everything gets built from there. And then this is foundations 1. Foundations 2 is the next progressive level for the clients. So they all progress appropriately. If I have a client that starts in 1 and I have to regress everything from level 1, or what my level 1 is in my head, I regress everything. So then I create a new template, and I would name it something else. So maybe that's my baseline. And then maybe they're going to take 3 programs before they get to actually what my level 1 is originally. I go to where they need to be, and then I change it. But I changed it from my foundations 1. I don't change it from writing things out of thin air. I don't write things out of thin air. That takes too much time.
Right.
Time is a commodity I don't know how to make more of.
That is, and if you ever figure that out, let me know.
I will.
But that is, I think, where a lot of coaches run into issues right away is, and I did this, I'm as guilty as anyone, is I would kind of start from a blank sheet of paper. And then I eventually got to the movement pattern aspect, and then I'd pick the right exercise from that movement pattern. And then I finally figured out, you know what? Most people in this category take a similar path. let's just write all of the exercises out. And then we just modify it if that exercise isn't right for that person. All right, you've got knee pain. Cool. Instead of a squat, we're going to do a wall sit. Or, if you've got an active straight leg raise issue, we're not going to deadlift right away. We're going to work on hinging patterns and that kind of stuff and mobility in that category or in that section, right? And I probably went from taking 20 minutes to write a program to 5 minutes, right? Because it's simply looking at the template. Does this make sense for this client? Is this the right exercise choice? Cool. Put their name on it and ship it. And then if you have a system to be able to like have that all organized and easy, right? It makes it that much easier. Like I used Excel for a really, really long time. And I had Excel templates and I paid someone
we did use Excel.
And then I paid someone on Google to like make it Google Drive and had like a little bit more dynamic, but ultimately software becomes your friend in this type of world. And it's one of the reasons we included it in Coach Catalyst because I'm selfish and I want Coach Catalyst to help me run my gym better. And,
well, I mean, how about this? We've used other software besides Coach Catalyst at Trevor's gym. So we use one of the other platforms. To program and deliver our workouts to clients. And I will let you know that if you are not using software to write programs for clients and COVID shuts down your gym and you don't know how to train your clients, you need to be on an app because you lost so much of your book of business. That was awesome. We didn't have to teach our clients how to use an app or anything like that. Right. We ran workouts on our clients did their programs that we modified based on the equipment they borrowed from our gym and they ran them at home. And that was awesome because our business ran, not as usual, but like, my 10 a.m. clients on Tuesdays and Thursdays trained 10 a.m. on Zoom with me Tuesdays and Thursdays. Nothing changed.
From running a gym, like I think a lot of people think of software as for only for online coaches. Like I'm an online coach, so I need a software. Yes, you do because you're not physically with a client. But I think the time you can save in implementing software in the client experience in a physical brick and mortar, it's immense. It's massive.
So mine would be just for communication. Like, I don't know how many times a client has texted me. They text me and I read the message and I don't have whatever I need because I'm out or I'm eating or whatever. And I put my phone down and they walk into the gym 3 days later and I'm like, oh crap. I totally did not give you what I said. And I want to give my clients everything that I say to them. There's nothing worse. Whereas when they message me in Coach Catalyst in the software, I read it. If now isn't the good time, they're still going to be in my inbox when I come back to my inbox later. I start every day. I check my Coach Catalyst. I check in with my clients. I end every day by cleaning out my inbox. I never close it. My email will always have 55 million emails in it, but my Coach Catalyst inbox will be clear at the end of the day, which means my client will be taken care of at the end of the day and I never miss anymore. That is probably my biggest win. I don't miss.
Well, you talk about these boundaries, right? Like you talk about boundaries, and we talked about boundaries from a time standpoint. But I think talking about boundaries from a communication standpoint, because we develop such strong relationships with our clients, they become pretty much like our friends. And so, like the example that you just provided, right? Like what's text for, right? Text is for my friends. It's for, a quick catch up with someone, a quick reminder for someone. But when we start to blend our friendships and our professional life into the same platform, things start to fall through the cracks, right? It's a lot different if, Ashley sends me a text in a friendly manner and I forget to respond because I was out for dinner and I'm like, I'll respond later. And I see her like, oh, hey, I just forgot all about that, right? And like, we're still good. But if a client tells me something and I forget about it and I show up and see that client again, who's paying me their hard-earned money to provide a service for them and something I've promised them, right? That's a completely different. And it's not because you wanted to forget. It's just because of the platform. It's too challenging. So whether it's
not
Coach Catalyst or whether
to do that, yeah.
Right. So it doesn't matter. Like I don't. You use Coach Catalyst, great. If you use other platforms, whatever. But it's just like having that professional boundary from here's how I communicate with my friends and my family and those type of people, and here's how I communicate with my clients. Because if you want to be perceived as a professional and put in that category, we need to have these systems that other professions do, and it's kind of like there's a scarcity, right? Like this is how a client communicates with you, and you're going to communicate back with them when you're working, right?
Hey, let's talk about this on the coach to like owner, gym owner and that kind of thing too. So like Trevor and I have worked for Trevor for, almost 5 years now. Trevor and I are friends. If I was going to text Trevor and ask him something, I would shoot him a text. If I was going to talk to him about Coach Catalyst or the gym, I'm going to message him in Slack. I'm not going to send him a text message about the gym or this or that. I'm going to Slack it to him. Or me and his wife will be having a text conversation. I say something and she'll tell me, Slack this to me, because that's where we talk about work. We don't talk about work in text messages. So like if you're texting your employees, like Coach Catalyst doesn't work great, like isn't great for that, but like you need a software to communicate with your employees that maybe isn't email. Like Slack is a really, really great one, but like the same works for your business, because if Trevor was texting me on my phone on Saturday saying he wanted to talk to me, I would be having a freaking aneurysm all weekend long because Trevor's not going to tell me. But he sent me a Slack, which I'm probably not checking because I'm not working and my computer is off because I have boundaries in my life. I'm going to check it Monday morning and I'm not going to have this weekend long panic. I'm going to shoot him a message and be like, sure, what's up? Like,
right.
It changes your relationship, because like how many times have you read a text message and read it wrong from your boss or from your coach? It's because you communicated with them not on their work time. And I think sometimes that happens. So like, I think it goes both ways, just because I know it from the gym that I'm at currently and how that communication is handled. I installed them using Slack at the gym, and it saved so many issues because I was getting text messages at 9 p.m. about us needing toilet paper.
Right. So Slack is a really good Slack is a good platform. If you do have a team, we use it at Coach Catalyst. We use it at Functional Fitness, my gyms, and it helps keep work just work. And it keeps it at a singular place. And it's free. So it's great for no matter what size your team is.
There's also the urgent text messages. Hey, can you cover my shift tomorrow at this time? Like that can be done in a text message, but hey, this is broken or this or that. Like those are conversations that can be had in there. Like obviously there's urgent things that broke. Like the AC's out at the building. Trevor needs to be texted or called immediately. Like those should be handled that way. And teaching your coaches how to communicate with you, I think, is really important. But like, for the most mundane work things, like ideas that we have or pitches that we're going to have, they can be done in Slack. Like then they don't get lost. You can search them and find them again. But it doesn't end up in text message. It also helps with things being misconstrued.
Well, we kind of have a hierarchy where if it's not, it doesn't need to be taken care of immediately, it's Slack. If it's something that's really, really important, but maybe isn't super, super urgent, text message is okay, but still probably for me, I still like Slack because I've used that probably more than text. And then level 3 is like code red, like the building is on fire, or like
I'm calling 911. I'm not even going to call Trevor. If the building's on fire, I'm calling 911. Just also note that for the most part, if I actually even want to socialize with Trevor, I will text him. I will Slack him because I know he's not going to read his text messages. Or I text his wife and tell her that I need him. The right time, right place to communicate with your clients, the right place to communicate with your employees. Like if you're there and that kind of your business, it really is a lifesaver because it helps so much. Like I think boundaries is probably like, if I had to pick a word for trainers and their business, boundaries, but like I think this and this goes with how you communicate with the people who work for you and work under you and like all of that kind of stuff. I think it's so important because it is missing in so many gyms. Yeah. So many.
Because I mean, the separate communication channels are huge because everything else will then get funneled to typically text and email. And they're both really, really messy, especially email. Because you have your work email, you have your personal email, you have your spam email, you've got everything coming through there, and it's really easy to lose stuff in email. And the last thing you want is to be losing communication from your clients. That is so we actually have, like with all of our clients at our facilities, like an app. We have our app, we have it branded so that it fits our brand and it's easy for our clients to remember. If they need to get a hold of us, they click the orange FF app and then they send us a message. Because we can't guarantee it if it comes through email or even if they text us. Like we want it through the app because that's an exclusive experience for our clients. And it ultimately helps us not drop the ball. Because when you have multiple coaches, multiple people looking at things, it's too easy to let the ball drop when it's just all like coming into a single email address that the admin has to like try and disseminate to coaches. It just doesn't work.
And just so you guys know, it doesn't help when you text message the admin at 5 a.m. that you're not showing up for your session when I'm the trainer at the gym at 5 a.m. Not helpful, because then I have to I'm messaging this client and they're like, Trevor, you just totally went disabled your video there. Nothing was more frustrating than me having to message the admin or me have to message one of the other trainers or message the client. And they're like, but I already sent this message. So like that is, that's one that I think is really, really important. So there's that too.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think it comes down to boundaries. Like you could apply boundaries to almost every aspect of your coaching practice. Like, I mean, you think about it, and like, I think that's another element of sustainability, because that's really what we're going for, is how do we keep more coaches in the industry longer, because they're going to then ultimately be able to help change more lives and help more people, rather than being in the industry
and then you get a better quality coach too. And you get a better quality coach because they have experience. You guys, let me tell you, I sucked as a new trainer. And I'll tell you in 5 years, I'm going to tell you I suck now.
Who doesn't?
Like, because I have, like, I'm at that point now, like, have you ever looked at the things and they tell you what takes you to be an expert in your field? I'm officially would be considered an expert in my field. I have the years of experience. I've written stuff to be published. I've been on podcasts. I've done things in the industry now. Like, as an expert in the field, I will tell you that I will be better tomorrow than I am today. And I still am constantly learning things and getting better. And that's the thing that makes you a good coach, is that I know that there's so much out there. I listen to great coaches speak. I go to conferences. I get more education. The learning doesn't stop. And I literally have a list of learning that I want to do. I don't just think like, I'm not like, oh, I need to get my continuing education. Oh, don't worry. I have exceeded my continuing education, and I literally just paid my renewal in November, and I've already filled it for the next 2 years. That doesn't mean I stop learning at this point, because like I think I've decided I'm gonna get PN level 2 this year. Like I have things and goals that I want to do in my business, and it's like to be better respected in the industry and do more. And that to me is education. And obviously I spend time in the gym, and I put in the reps in the gym as well with clients and doing nutrition coaching. But there is something about being like-minded people to inspire you, encourage you, and like see the different ways people do their business. I like that kind of like interaction and this is why I'm a trainer and not a GM, because those things are still valuable to me. I don't want to get better at P&L and profit loss sheets and like knowing like how much we spend on toilet paper and paper towels every month. Like I don't care, but like I would rather train every new coach that walks in the door and write a new program than ever deal with the administrative side of things, that is still administrative, but like I'm more of a director of training that still gets to train sessions, because I like the administrative, and I like working with other people, and I like to empower them and encourage them, but I like to get my hands dirty still. So, I mean, that's fun of it, right?
What are the things that I do that really energize me, and what are the things that drain me? And so can I just do more of the things that energize me? I don't think we can ever get to a point where, all I'm going to do is that, because there's always going to be certain aspects where you just have to put your head down and get it done. But as you go through your career trying to shift more towards, what type of people really energize me, what type of work really energizes me. And then the cool thing about the industry, it's so young, right? And like you can kind of craft your own way in the industry if you want to. Like you don't have to go work for a Lifetime or an Equinox. Like you can do your own thing, and the internet has made it possible to like live from anywhere if that's what you choose.
And I run an online business too. I train people online too, but I will tell people I will never stop training in the gym, because I'm a better online coach because I train in the gym. And that, like, by actually seeing people move, I can help my clients better. I remember the patterns, or when they send me a video, I know cues that will work, because if you're giving your client the same cue over and over and they're not getting it right, you're the problem, not them. Like, those are things I think we forget sometimes when we're only online. And I've been only online before, but like I know that like if I'm telling my client that they need to bend their knees during their deadlift to hinge back further because they're so stiff they're getting a rounded back, they don't know. So like you need a new cue. How are you going to do it? So like those are like super valuable. Like, yeah, I like to be in person. There's a reason I became a trainer, not just to be online. And you can be flexible, but you can run online, but maybe you only train your clients one time a week in the gym and they do the rest of their programs on their own. So you're only in the gym on Tuesdays. Like you can make it whatever you want.
Right. That's also kind of a curse, right? When you can make it whatever you want, when your options are unlimited, then you don't do anything.
Oh, 80% on paper is better than 100% in your head.
But I agree with you as far as any new coach, like you need interaction with people, and you need like coaching is done better when we're both in the same room when we're working together, right? It's just like it's hands down better. Does someone need that all the time? No, but I'm going to be able to help you more if I can see you move. We can do cues, we can figure out what's working, what's not working, make some changes, make some tweaks, versus you sending me a video and then I send you a response back and then maybe you try it at the next workout, and we can make progress a lot faster. But you don't need to train everyone that way, right?
Why do trainers want to train online? It's because they're not making enough money in person for the amount of time. And I think that's the big thing is trainers don't know how to you're training an hour for a dollar amount. But what if you could train more clients in that hour? Like how much do you really want to make an hour? Can you train your clients less frequently in person, but they pay an additional for you to write their programs for the other days that they don't come to the gym? Like there's flexibility there, but like also I think so many coaches want to be online because they want to make more money. You can make more money as a trainer in person. You just need to be doing the right things in person to be able to do that. Like stop thinking one client per hour or one client per 30 minutes. Like how many people can you train in 1 hour? Can you run a large group? Can you run a small group? Like I would say large groups are like hit or miss depending on where you're at and where your demographic is. I would tell you like semi-private is by far where it is. And if you weren't doing individual programs for people and you were writing one program for the hour and you were putting like people who maybe have similar things, like you could train 6, maybe 8 people in that hour. And maybe it's not quite as much as the 4-person hour. Like you have some options and some flexibility there too. So, I think that's really cool, but, I think that's it. People like think they want to be I thought I wanted to be 100% remote. Let me tell you, I ended up training at a gym in person because I like the interaction. Like there's a reason I always end up back in the gym because I love the environment of being in the gym.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And the cool thing is you can make it what you want. If you really enjoy the gym, you can do 75% in the gym and 25% online, or you can do 50-50 or 25-75 the other way. You have the ability. And with the pandemic, people are more comfortable with online, so it's easier to access that. So we kind of live in a cool world where you can kind of make what you want out of it, and help people the way that you want to help people and the way that energizes you. But you have to try stuff. You got to get in, and you got to get your hands dirty and figure out what you do and don't like.
The other thing I like to do is my clients, when they're done training with me because they think they're perfect in the world, or maybe they're moving and they're not going to like whatever, I offer an online program that my clients can do. So like I've had clients at the gym here, I train them in person and then they move or they deploy because I live in a military based area. Hey, what am I going to do when I'm not training you? Hey, I'll write your programs. You have access to your phone in this app and you can do all of your workouts. I'll write them all. This is what it will cost you every month. I retain a lot of clients that I just program for because they're deployed for a month or they're going to be gone for a handful of months. Or I have a client that just can't make it to the gym where I'm at now and because it doesn't fit, and I write all her programs and she does the workout at the gym that's convenient for her. But I know how she trains. I know what she can. I've seen her train in person. Also, sometimes like as a fun treat, once a month or a couple times, I go down and I train with her. I don't charge her for those sessions. I show up and I get my workout in too. But like if she's doing something wonky, I can fix it, nip it in the butt really quick and not wait for the delay. So I pick the workout that we're going to do that day because I pick the workout I want to do that I programmed for her because I'm a cherry picker. But but it's nice because then I'm interacting with her too, as well. But I'm getting my workout in, and you could still charge for sessions like that too. I obviously am going to her gym and trying not to get in trouble there. So I'm definitely not just training her, but like we hang out and talk, but I can talk about my expectations of her new program or what I want her to do and that kind of stuff. Like, she's paying for my services, and she is paying me well, that I feel like it's very well invested in my time to go down and train her once, like go down there once a month or once every couple of weeks and work out with her and go over how workouts are going and stuff. So,
I mean, you're investing in the future, right? That's a client that's, unless something really weird happens, is probably never going to leave, right?
Exactly.
Those little things matter. How do you structure, because I know this will be a question, how do you structure your online coaching to make it efficient and make it worth your time, and also the client gets what they need out of it?
I have a monthly program that everybody follows and everybody gets it. Give or take.
Do you do like, do you do monthly calls? Yeah. But do you do like monthly calls, or do you do like technique checks or anything
what
like
do we want to talk about? We want to talk about the training side or the nutrition side of my business?
I think let's stick with training.
Okay. So my clients submit exercise videos on specific exercises that I ask for them on, or anything. They video anything that causes pain, or they feel awkward when they're doing, or they're not sure about. How about that? Like, there are some rules. They get a nice little lesson that says, hey, these are the exercises I want you to video today. Here, these are the ones. I asterisk the one. They know which ones I want video. They submit them to me via Coach Catalyst. I watch the videos. I give them input on their exercises. Or if there's anything that causes pain. Every time I deadlift, my back hurts. Video your deadlift. I send them I'm like, the video on the deadlift is the exact angle I want you to send me the video on. My clients know if that's how they saw the video that I sent them, that's the angle that the video is supposed to come from. I also set them up for like that. So when they're videoing, it's the same angle they watch me do it on. If I watch it and I don't love it, I might ask for another angle. For the most part, I can get what I need from where it is. They submit them. I give them my feedback. Obviously, if there's an injury or something that's causing pain, I've hopped on Zoom calls to go through them and correct them, because a lot of the stuff, they don't even need to be in the gym to correct. We can do it at home, because this is what you need. Insert deadlift. We need a broomstick. You got a broomstick at your house, or a Swiffer stick or something like that? Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's hop on a call. I have time this day at this time, or here's my call calendar, book a call. Depending on how I'm going to do it. So then I would hop on and I would do that call with the client. My programs, what I charge for them, I have room to give my clients room for these things. They are paying for that service. So it's also like, I want them to continue to train with me. If their program hurts them, they're not going to keep training with me. I do write one program for the month, and I modify it per client. So like, if the client can't do this, I have, depending on the clients that I've done stuff with, I have FMS them, kind of done an FMS with them via Zoom. So I've watched them move. If they are a client that I've never trained before, or they were referred to me or something like that, like someone said I was great. So like, I would screen them so I would know what their limitations are. So they might get mobility more specific to them, or a warm up for them specifically. But here's the month, here's May's program. I assign it to them and I make the changes for that specific client. So I write June, so June's written, it's been assigned to the client, modified, and ta-da, they have their program for the month.
So, like, you're not trying to recreate the wheel for every client. Like, that's like, you create the program and then it's modified for each client.
But that's how I can. If I had to write an individual program for every single client and start from scratch, I'd have to charge to write a program like that. For online training, they want a reasonable price. So the reasonable price is, this is the program, and here is where you're at. Level 1, 2, and 3. And I'll start.
I mean, they probably have no idea. They might not have any idea that it's not individualized for them, or it is individualized for them.
Exactly. So like, I write the program, and I know this client can't overhead press, so maybe they're going to get a landmine press or an incline press variation or something to them. Maybe they're going to get a mobility exercise for shoulder mobility. I plop that in for them. Right. No, you're right. It is an individualized program, but I didn't start from scratch to write it, because I wrote all of June together and then I assigned June to my clients. So that's personally how I do it.
It's awesome. No, I think that's really good. I mean, we could probably talk about this stuff forever. And so I'm just going to spare people that part of their life. Maybe we'll do a part 2 at some point so we can dig into this a little bit more. You already answered a few of the things I wanted to get through. Are there any? Go ahead.
No, I would. Oh, you were going to ask me, is there anything else? There is one other thing. I took notes on this, so I didn't forget. So a lot of times I see coaches, and I see it a lot at big box gyms, where coaches will talk bad about other coaches. And while you guys think you're in competition with each other, you're not. Your ideal client and the type of people that you're going to work with and the people you're going to interact with are not the same. If a client ever left me to train with another trainer, that's okay, because I want them to have the best experience. And I know like that comes from a place of experience, but also know like that client probably wasn't a good fit for me anyways. And I probably didn't enjoy training them. Clients who don't enjoy training, stop training. Well, maybe you can, but like give them to someone who can be a better fit for them and maybe help them if you're not the right person. It's the same thing with referring out. But there is nothing worse than someone watching and being like, that coach doesn't know how to coach, that they're not fixing XYZ thing with this person's squat. You do not know how many correctives I just gave that client to fix their squat, or that's the best we're going to get today. And that is kind of my biggest thing is like, you don't know what has happened in that training session. Me as a coach might go on and be like, if I am like, when I was at Equinox, I went through the manager and training program. Obviously, if I'm watching a coach and they are not fixing a squat and I'm not happy with it, that isn't me thinking that trainer's bad. Maybe that trainer didn't have the right cue. Maybe something was going on with that client. Maybe I can offer some advice, or like maybe this client's having knee pain and I'm going to say, hey, so-and-so is really good at working with clients that have knee pain. Why don't you see if you guys can come up with a solution for your client? That's the greatest team ever. But I'm not going to assume that trainer doesn't know what they're doing, because if you've ever watched me train clients, sometimes my clients look like they suck. And I promise you, I would never tell anyone that I'm a good coach. Like I can fix a lot of things, but sometimes like I've already given them 3 cues, too many, and I'm not going to cue them anymore because this is the best the movement's going to be today. And obviously I'm not going to let them continue to do a movement that is painful or is going to cause them injury. But like sometimes the best we can do today is our best, and that is okay. And like, it's not our place to judge other trainers. And I see that so much. So it can be really disconcerting for new trainers because coaches can be kind of mean to each other. Like, don't be the mean girl, like help the new coach, find out what's going on, see if you can help them and make them better. Because I think like if we saw more growth and more people making people better, one, we could all be charging more money, which I mean, like, how do we make more money? But also like, how can we make the industry feel inclusive? Because not many trainers look like me or are built like me. I'm also, I'm a female in a male dominant industry. Like, make people want to be better and help them. And that means helping other coaches, because I promise you, it's not going to make you less money. And actually, I would tell you that it probably will make you more money. And that is just, I've seen it. And I've worked at places that were very competitive. So like working at Lifetime, the trainers always felt like they were in competition with each other. I never once felt like that when I worked at Equinox. Like, never once felt like I was in competition with other trainers. While we were all trying to pick up clients, we were all trying to train more or make more money or whatever our goals were. I still thought I could go to any person on that team and ask for advice or ask for help or learn more or pick their brain. And if they had time, they were going to give it to me. And I have a lot of respect for my coworkers that I worked with there. They are spectacular because they are awesome at what they do. So like, don't be afraid to ask people to get better, but also don't judge a trainer because their client can't do a squat. Like, there's my why.
We want to keep people in the industry. Right. I think that's awesome and probably very mature of you. That's maybe something that right out of college, right out of Purdue University, Ashley might not have thought about.
No,
so I think that's
here's the
growth,
thing.
right? And
I'm super competitive, but like, I am a team player. Like, I want to play on the team. Like I said, I think I said that before. Like, I want to play and I want everyone to be successful. And I mean, I know that putting other people down doesn't make me any better of a person. And maybe that's a lot of personal development right there coming out. But I mean, it's true. I never got better knocking someone else down. So
I think it's awesome.
Thanks.
And ultimately, can we keep more people in the industry, and can we help the industry grow? Because there's enough people out there. There's enough clients, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, we talked about Boundaries as being a book that you would recommend to any coach, and probably any person in general that works with clients. Are there any other books that clients you find yourself gifting or recommending?
Atomic Habits. The Compound Effect. Those are some of my favorites. Those Boundaries would probably be the big one. I just read Atomic Habits. Trevor recommended to me, and I think bought it for me as a gift like 4 years ago, and I finally read it. That's one I like. But if you want to go to the original Atomic Habits, the Compound Effect guy. So I've read the Compound Effect. That would be my other one. Those would be my top 3 books.
Another good one I think to just add there, it's a little more technical. For program design, Alan Cosgrove and I think it's Mike Rasmussen, their program design manual, I think is a really good. Do you have it sitting there? I think it's a really good.
And it's
just
well
a
worn.
really good place for a lot of coaches to get started. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Like
program
it's
design
a solid for that coach getting started, because I don't know if certifications do the best job of really digging into program design.
I would agree. And it's a great starting point for templates and building templates from there. I mean, remember, you don't need a new program, and someone's already written a great one, and you know it works because Alan Cosgrove is awesome, and like you know that you have a good starting point. So I totally agree. I agree with that program. It's spectacular. That book, it's spectacular.
It's kind of like if you're in the restaurant industry, right? You learn how to cook by following recipes, and you get really good at cooking by following recipes. And then after you get really good at cooking, then you can start to create your own recipes. But you don't start by creating your own recipes, right? You need to learn how to follow the recipe first. And I think it was Mike Boyle where he kind of gave that analogy. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So just like steal other people's stuff early on because they've went through the trials and tribulations, right?
Yep.
All right, next one. Is there anyone that you feel like a new coach should follow in the industry, or anyone that you feel like is putting out really good content?
Well, I feel like you and I put out really great content. No, we do a weekly show for our gym. We're really funny. Totally boring. Really good people in the industry. So I am a huge Dan John fan. He keeps his programming very, very simple, and I really, really like that. I did one of my friend Adina's programs. If you guys are going to ask me, I can give you her stuff, but she runs a lot of prenatal stuff and pelvic floor. She does all kettlebell stuff that can be done at home. She's spectacular. She does a lot of really funny stuff. She has some of the best reels. Her stuff is really good. Who else do I follow a lot? I mean, to be completely honest, I don't follow a lot of fitness stuff on the internet. I read the stuff that I want to read, and I follow and read. I go to the people's stuff that I want to research or dig more into. I don't follow a lot of it because I do a lot of cringy stuff with people, and I am not going to judge what other people do because they are doing the best they can with the knowledge they have, and I have different knowledge. And that is probably why I don't. Also, I am like everybody else that internet coaches. Like I feel like I'm not living up or I'm not doing something right, and I don't want to compare my stuff to other people. So I have a lot of I don't want to deal with any imposter syndrome or like not feeling like I shouldn't release this program because someone else is already doing it. But like if I looked, okay, so I run a kettlebell program only. Like I have people that run kettlebells only at home. If I compare that to what my friend Adina does, like it's not the same. It's not, because our beliefs in training are different. A lot of them are very similar. I've done her program. It's awesome. But I can't compare that because it's not the same. So that kind of thing. But also, like, none of her followers are the same. If I went through her follower list and mine, we follow like the people that follow her don't follow me. They're not the same. So like what I am giving is different. I'm giving it to a whole different population of people that I know or I, know on social media.
Right. I think that's why books are so great, because a book is a culmination of years of knowledge and a cultivation of words to fit into a certain aspect. Like it gives you the complete story rather than the 5-second reel or the picture on Instagram and the 100-word caption. Like there's a little bit of density to it. All right, next one. Eat at a restaurant for the rest of your life. What restaurant do you choose? You can only eat at the same restaurant. What
Chipotle.
restaurant do you choose? Love it.
You guys, you can eat Mexican food forever, but truthfully, I would eat at my house every single day, and still probably only eat Mexican food. No, but I would eat Mexican food every day. But
Okay.
no, I would eat Chipotle. That would be my food choice. So
Okay.
many options.
All
There's
right.
lots of versatility there.
Is there anything you've purchased for under $100 that has had a profound impact on your life or disproportionate value?
Oh my god. Um, I mean,
This
probably
is a hard
books.
question.
It is a really hard question. It's a great question because I'm trying to think of things. I mean, I buy a lot of books. I like think I need to be Belle from Beauty and the Beast. So like I would say any book, and I think they're proportionate to what they cost. But also like when I think about buying a
Right.
book and they're $25, like think of the person that spent all of that time and years thinking they weren't good enough, and then they gave you this book, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, whatever you're reading. I would say that every book I invest in is worth every single penny because I love them. But recently, the best book that I've spent any money on, I don't even. Oh, I did buy a new book. I bought Trevor and I talked about it not that long ago. Slow Death by Rubber Ducky or by Rubber Duck. I am going to read this book. I think it is going to be worth the hype. It looks a little sciencey. I'm a little nervous there, but I am excited.
It's a good book.
So I would say that the only thing I really spend a lot of money on that's under $100 is a book. I also bought this water jug that was under $100. It is glass. Hint, I'm reading Slow Death by Rubber Duck. This is my glass water jug. It was stupidly expensive. While it was less than $100, it was still too much money. But I love it, and I drink all my water every single day. So it's a hydro jug or a hydro flask or whatever. Hydro jug. They come in plastic. They also come in stainless steel. This is the glass one. It's a half gallon, and it was totally worth the investment. And I hope I don't break it and never have to buy another one.
All right. Next one. What cartoon world do you wish you could live in for a week?
Pokemon.
Interesting.
Yeah. Gotta catch them all. When I was little, I wanted to be Ash. I wanted Pikachu as my best friend and Bulbasaur. And so I would be in Pokemon and I would catch them all.
All right, last one. If you were reincarnated as an animal based on your personality, what animal do you think you would come back as?
So a pug or a monkey.
Like a big monkey or a small monkey?
Like a goofy monkey. Maybe like the monkey from Ace Ventura.
Ooh, that's a good
like
monkey.
A tiny monkey. I feel like a monkey like that. Like,
yeah.
So my pug is kind of like a clown. Like I like to goof around and have fun, but like I just kind of want to hang out. I don't know. That's kind of what my pug is like. I'm kind of like a life of the party, and every time they depict monkeys as being like a fun kind of crazy animal, that's kind of who I am.
I like it. All right, I did say that was the last one, but I'm going to give you one more. If you could have dinner with anyone on the planet, past or present, who would you have dinner with?
I actually hate this question. Like,
do you? Sorry.
Yeah, I hate it. No, I hate it because it's like really hard. Like, how do you pick? Like living, but you're like living or dead. I would have dinner with. I'm going to go family on this. I would have dinner with my grandparents. I'm sorry, I'm taking them both. So both of my mom's parents passed when I was relatively young, 3rd grade and 8th grade, and I would love to have dinner with them.
I think that's a good one.
Well, you always wonder what they pictured you to be like as a grown up. Like they haven't been here. I would love to have a conversation with them. And I'm getting married next month. I would love for them to meet Zach because that would be really cool for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so sentimental.
I found that as I get older, I actually have much better conversations with my grandparents because I now actually care about their lives rather than just being like a little kid that's running around.
Well, their stories are so good, but it's also like the change in your dynamic of what you have with your parents and the conversations you have. Like, obviously, like my parents aren't here. I'd love to have dinner with my dad right now. If I could have dinner with my dad tonight, I'm trying to con him into moving down south. That would be awesome. Like, I would love to have him closer. It's the whole reason we ended up in Minnesota to begin with, was to be closer to our family. But like, I would take any time to have meals with my family, because I don't need a famous person or anyone else. Like, those are the people that I want to spend my time with. I mean, I'd have dinner with you and Aaron too. You guys are cool.
Thanks. I'm glad you could put us in that category.
You guys are like
I think that's enough
family.
I think that's enough. We need to wrap this thing up before it gets ridiculous. So, Ashley, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate you hanging out.
Like always.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. If you are a coach looking to do more for your clients than just workouts, give Coach Catalyst a test drive. Try it for 14 days. Jump on call with your personal strategy coach, Ashley, and see how easy technology can be, all for free. Tell them Trevor sent you. Until next time, keep changing lives.